Welcome to yet another episode of Women in Sport Africa, and part 2 with our guest Muditambi Ravele continues, and she's shared the pearls of wisdom, the inspiration, the work behind the scenes that has been put to make South African sport what it is today. If you missed the first segment, don't despair, because lots still to come from this episode of Women in Sport Africa. And welcome back to part 2 with our interview with Muditambi Ravele, a game changer. When we say game changer, sometimes these words roll off our tongue, but truly she is a game changer. Looking at the history and how she's made a positive impact when it comes to the history of our country where sports is concerned. And that's why we have such a show, Women in Sport Africa, to tell these stories that are sometimes not told. I learned so much in part 1, and I'm guaranteed that part 2 will also be just as interesting. Muditambi, let's go to your administrative work with the different federations. Netball South Africa, you've worked with Boxing South Africa, Wheelchair South Africa as well. How do you then transition from your earlier days where you are trying to make the change and impact to getting into the different federations?
So because of I've done physical education, and physical education gives you a broader understanding of different sports, because you have to do different sporting codes so that you can teach kids on those federations. So I managed to actually be part of by then it used to be called SANA, which was a Black Association for netball. And as I was playing, I then realized that majority of the administrators are men, but people playing on the court are women. And when it comes to officiating, it's also male. And I was saying something is not right here. so I approached a lady who, and actually...
Approach her. And I love that.
I approached the lady who was actually, they put her as a president. I said, you know what, are you feeling comfortable with the situation? And she was saying, you know what, I wasn't, but now that you raise it, I think we should do something. And we started pushing women into administration. So I stopped my playing early because of the fact that we wanted to make a difference in administration. So I managed to go into the structure, and at a long run, I was the vice president to the president. And we did quite well into the unity talks by 92, 93. And then I then moved to Netball South Africa. But by then, I was actually a coach and an umpire of tennis. And actually, I ended up officiating tennis internationally at that time. And whilst I was still busy with my netball, I was a player. Football, I was a player in softball and whatever. But I started actually then saying, in administration, let me focus on these two. And that's how at the end I ended up being zoomed up to netball. After I left the department, because when I joined the department, I had to resign from netball. But when I left the department, they approached me again to say netball is in trouble. It was after the commission.
This is which year?
It was 1999. Yeah, 1999. And then they were saying, could you assist? I then said, no, that's fine. So that's when I then being appointed as a president. And today it's registry because of we went in the netball by then had no black player at a national team, and if there is one, it will be a one which is a token. By the time I left netball, it was more than 50% representation of black players. Sponsors were coming. I mean, SPA is still there today, which came in during my time. We had Discovery, we had Gilbert, so we had more companies coming to sponsor netball, and we started a lot of programs. We started the league, and we made sure that we reach out to all provinces and all districts And today I'm proud to see netball where it is today.
How exciting was it then for you to hear that the Netball World Cup is coming to South Africa?
Oh, that was exciting. And I'll tell you why it was more exciting for me, because we tried to host the World Cup before, and government by then didn't have a buy-in, and we couldn't actually raise funds to host it. And this time, because of the minister was a woman at that time when Netball South Africa applied, that minister actually made sure that it is actually budgeted for. And today, we should be excited about that, because of it's very difficult for especially netball to come to any African country. I mean, the only country that hosted netball now in Africa, it's only South Africa.
Yeah.
Botswana hosted under 21. But the national had more demand, and we hosted it well.
I was there at the Netball World Cup at the Cape Town International Convention Center. It was sort of disappointing, though, to see the amount of black players on court. I think there was a time when I was watching one of the games, and it was Ubongiwe Msomi, Kanyisa Chawane, and maybe one more player, Pumza Maweni.
Pumza,
And I felt like, I guess, going back to the work that has been done, why are we here in 2023 at home watching a team that doesn't necessarily represent our country and the work that's been done?
Actually, there was a time when netball went down on transformation, and most of us were very disappointed. And I think now they are picking up again, and there are very good players who are showing their hands. And you can see it even in under 21 that there are good players. And actually, it's happening mostly in most federations where you are getting black players. And again, coming back to what I was saying, that when you see other black players on TV or hear them on radio, kids actually are motivated to play sport.
Yeah, and once again, we touch on representation and its importance, and we'll dive in deeper into that, because there's so much vibrance when it comes to netball at the moment in our country, but also touch on the fact that Ndabi was the first chairperson, female at that, in Boxing South Africa, and where the sport is today and its challenges, because they are there. So when we come back, we go into a different federation and more coming up. Welcome back to Wiser Women in Sport Africa, a show that highlights, celebrates and honors women in sport in the country and the path they've traveled. And our guest is the first chairperson of the Boxing South Africa board that is female. How does that come about?
So what happened is that with the history that we challenged Parliament on boxing, when I was asked to apply to be a board member, I then said, no, that's fine. I mean, it's a field that I know. So I applied. I was then, firstly, I went in as a member. Unfortunately, the chairperson at the time, Ngonde Balfour, resigned. And I was then asked to act by Minister Fikile Mbalula. I acted, and it was not easy. Firstly, it was the fact that I'm a woman, but secondly, it was the fact that people think that boxing it's more regional. It's more from Eastern Cape.
Yes.
You should be from Eastern Cape, yeah. So there was
because we can be very territorial as a country.
So there was that also, that issue, and you will hear men saying, and some of them who don't even know you from other sport, they wouldn't even know that you are this woman. So I managed to make sure that I understand the rules and regulations. So So the act and the regulations, I was very clear about that. I knew that would be my weapon. So when they challenged me, I challenged back on using rules. And they didn't know the rules because they thought they know the sport,
Yes.
but they didn't really.
The rules that govern.
That's it. And that's how I ended up at the end winning them on my side. On one day when I went to Eastern Cape to have a meeting, and when I had a workshop on marketing and sponsorship, because that's my area of specialty, all the difficult guys came to that session. And when I gave an example about farming, because I wanted to bring in, because I'm a teacher by background, it's better to tell people from known to unknown. So I started telling them about farming, different ways of farming in the garden of a home, of a small family farm and a commercial farm. And I gave examples of how all those people prepare for their farming. And at the end of the day, I said, that's what you should be doing in your company. And as a promoter, you need to make sure that you decide which farmer are you. And they started realizing to be a commercial farmer, which is what we expect them to be, professional promoters, it's a difficult task to do. And out of that, we managed to work together because I had to help them to be their commercial promoters. And with that, we worked well, and they started believing in me. And at the end, it was and we made a lot of changes because we started challenging. They challenged us actually, and we were in court so many times until we changed rules, until we changed systems, and actually make sure that systems works for us. And we managed to make sure that we don't even go to court anymore. By the time I left boxing, things were running smooth, and I think again the difficulty is the fact that sometimes people go down, the new leadership takes it down, but I think now the department is trying to put it back again.
It could be in a better space.
Yeah.
But I've gathered in the conversations that we've had that you're very fearless. And as I said, that when you've decided that I'm approaching, you will approach.
Yeah.
But do you ever get intimidated and think, yo, this one could be big? And if you do, then what?
I do, and when it comes, I end up saying, where there's a will, there's a way. There could be ways of dealing with it. And that's how I challenge it. And just to give you a background, sometimes some years back, I was put in a committee where when I move in, I realize all these people, these individuals have titles. It's professor, whosoever, whatever. So it was professors, and it was a more development strategic planning. So I moved in, and I was quiet all along, and a facilitator was coming from Australia. So when we break, he came to me and said, "Muditambi, you're so quiet." And I was intimidated because I don't have a title, and these guys.
Oh, professor.
Yes, yeah. and I was saying, "Joe, why did you call me here?" And he said something which actually made me realize that all of us, we had something to offer. He said to me, "Muditambi, we invited you because you know so much about sports development. You understand what should happen from grassroots to elite. Their specialty is to do the sports science and whatever is at elite level. But the person who understands where we come from, it's you. So when we go back, raise your voice." And I'm telling you, when we went back and I was starting to talk, all those professors turned to me and actually listen to me like they are getting new information. And that's when I realized that in life, we all have something to add. Unfortunately, some of us are afraid, and you shouldn't be afraid. Say whatever you want to. It will depend on people how they will take it, and some things that you might say might be valuable. And I realized that whatever you have in your mind, it can make a difference. And that's why I was not afraid to raise my voice. And sometimes it's not easy because of, some people don't take it nice.
Yes.
But you must take it. You must take it. You have raised it. So make sure that you manage it. And I'm still managing it even today.
Yeah. You don't stop learning.
You don't stop learning, but also in the process, don't keep quiet. You might make a difference with your input.
And I think that's why our show is so important. We don't just tell the stories, but the lessons that come with the stories. And now we know to be confident from Snenjabulo Zungu. And now we know to raise our voices when you believe in whatever it is that is burning inside of you and you know how to manage it, then go for it. When we come back, I still want to talk about Wheelchair Tennis South Africa, a federation that Muditambi was a part of. So as you can hear, there's still lots more to look forward to on Women in Sport Africa. Welcome back to Women in Sport Africa Wiser. And in those few moments, if you've just walked in, I'll tell you, I think I'm sitting here already just a little bit wiser, just hearing from the stories of Muditambi. I wanted to touch on school sports because that's where it all begins, and that's where your passion started in school. Would you say we're in the right place where that is concerned, where the school system is feeding into the universities and therefore into professional sports?
My concern is the fact that I think we are commercializing too much of school sport instead of making sure that it's a development area for us. And I'm seeing people now starting to take school sport as an elite program. And my fear is that at a long run, we will lose that base, that is our base where we have mass participation. So we have to balance it. We can't have an elite program for national federations and have an elite program for universities and still make schools to compete competitively and commercialize it the way I'm watching what is happening now. We need to balance it and make sure that mass participation is still focused on.
So I'm going to take you back now to your younger days when you were still in Venda or in Soweto. What would you say to the young Muditambi? What's that message, those two lines that you would say?
I would say to that girl that she can achieve whatever she wants to. And the most important thing is just to believe. Is to believe and focus. And one of the things that I managed to do, and if you could check in my track, when I'm doing one federation, I'm doing one federation. When I move to another one. So it's to focus. Focus on what you're doing at the time and do it to your best. And make sure that you make a difference, you make an impact.
And then, I mean, we still have parents in certain homes that still need a buy-in when it comes to sports, you know, where the parents are still determined that you need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer. What do you say to those parents to sort of say, there's actually a life in sports, there's actually a future in sports?
Sports these days is a career. It's a career, and in our days, even my parents would say, you're playing. It was like just playing games or marbles. But today, most of sports women and men are making millions out of sport. Actually, some of the people who are working in offices, they don't earn the same amount of money that are earned by sportsmen and women. Cricketers are making a lot of money. Rugby, people are making, football actually, West is making most of players, especially who are playing abroad.
Yes.
They are making a lot of money. So it is a career. Don't treat it just as sport, playing sport. Treat it as a career, like any other career in the country.
And I think you are a testament of that, even as a person that didn't play at the highest level and got into these major tournaments, but you were able to then have a long, fulfilling career, and you're not even done.
No, I'm not even done. I was saying to somebody, I'm already planning on my next one after I will be leaving cricket. So what am I going to do? So there's a lot to do in sports these days. And there's a business also of sport, and that's the career that one could look at, and that's why I went to do my degree in business administration and do my master's in entrepreneurship, because I want to focus on sport entrepreneurship.
And what does that look like? Sports entrepreneurship?
And you know what? We are doing these things all along, but we didn't give it a name, and we didn't do it professionally. And I think there's a lot that we can do. My studies was more on why most of the athletes, and especially looking at your rugby, football, and boxing, when they finish their career, they are penniless. And whilst these guys had been having a very good career, and they were liked by everybody, they were attracting sponsors, but immediately thereafter, nothing. And that, as again, it comes to entrepreneurship. They have entrepreneurship skills, which they use in their participation, but they can't use it after their career.
Sure. Okay, that's an interesting concept. Another world and avenue that is open. But what would your message be for the next generation of women in sport?
My message is that we need more women, but also not only women. They must empower themselves with enough knowledge and skills. One thing that helped me to survive wherever I go is because of the knowledge that I gained throughout the process. And don't try and skip some levels. I have grown in sport from grassroots to elite, and that's why I can actually adapt to any federation, because I gave myself time to go step by step and learn and make sure that I perfect it. But again, make sure that you understand the rules and regulations of the organizations.
You've stressed that importance of that. I'm going to ask you one last tricky question. You're sitting in a room, boxing is playing, tennis is playing, netball is playing, different sporting codes. Which TV are you watching?
I'm a golfer these days.
Oh. So you're watching golf?
I would watch golf because I would want to look deeper on the skills, because I still have to apply them. And I'm playing golf competitively in such a way that I represent Gauteng North, even at national.
Wow.
So that's why my interest in golf would be my attraction, because of it's something that
there's always a plan. You don't just do it. No. Well, thank you so much, Muditambi. We've learned so much. I think we definitely want a part 3, because the journey still continues, and I could ask many more questions, but you've shared the pearls of wisdom and inspired many people that maybe are disheartened with what is happening in the country or what is happening within their lives. But thank you for being that beacon of hope when it comes to women in sport, but sports in general in the country. And that's where we wrap up today's episode of Women in Sport Africa. And next week, we're going to have another game changer, because in this here, our country, we have many of them. And have a lovely day further.